So the essence of the worry trick is that it describes and advises about the plight that people experience when they have a lot of chronic worry. People with generalized anxiety disorder and some of the other anxiety disorders, they experience large amounts of chronic what-if kinds of worries. And when they have those what-if worries, they treat them like they're signs of danger when they're only discomfort. And so what does it mean when they treat it like danger? They either try and prove to themselves that bad event I'm anticipating won't ever happen, or they try and get the worry to shut up and go away and stop thinking it. Both of those fail. You can't make yourself stop thinking of something. You can't prove the absence of something in the future. And when their efforts to calm themselves fail, they take that as a sign that they're in terrible danger. That's the worry trick. The background to this book was years of working with chronically worried clients and trying a variety of methods and listening to them describe their plight for years and years and coming to recognize, helping them simply accept the thoughts and work with them rather than against them, that's much more truly the way out. So it really grew out of the trial and error of my practice and working with worried clients. Is the understanding that you don't need to change the content of your thoughts. If you're having these chronic, what if something bad, what if I lose my job, what if my son gets ill, what if my spouse leaves me, what if, bunch of terrible things. The path out doesn't require that you change the content of those thoughts. And so long as a person is trying so hard to change the content of the thoughts, they're essentially arguing with themselves. And when you argue with yourself, there's no more evenly matched contest on the planet. That's an argument that can go on forever. And so what makes this book unique is it helps you find, I don't need to change the content of my worrisome thoughts. I just need to change how I relate to them, how I respond to them. That's the key difference. There are plenty of them. They think that their worry is important. They think that it's an accurate prediction of future trouble. They often treat it as though it's a story clipped out of next week's or next month's or next year's newspaper. They think they're focused on the future. Actually, they're just experiencing nervousness in the present that's going on and talking about some hypothetical thing, but it's not a message from the future. It's a sign of being nervous presently now. And perhaps most important, people think that they ought to be able to control their thoughts. I should be able to only have the thoughts I want and not have the thoughts I don't want. And when people share this assumption about worry, then they feel like there's something wrong with them. They're defective, they're weak, they're weak-minded, there's just something wrong with them. So those are some of the key misconceptions. I ought to be able to control it, and it's an important and accurate prediction of the future. When really it's simply nervousness I'm experiencing in the present in the form of words rather than physical sensations. People also have the idea, if I'm worrying now, I'm in terrible trouble. And yet actually the fact that you're engaged in what-if worrying is maybe the clearest sign that you could get. I'm not having any trouble right now. Somebody with a dog phobia who worries incessantly about what if a dog attacks me? The only time they're not going to have that thought, what if a dog attacks me, is when the dog is actually attacking, because they're too busy defending themselves then. And so the presence of the what if thought, if a person can notice it and realize it, that's the best sign you can get that, I don't really face any terrible external troubles now. It's just these pretend thoughts. They treat worry as a threat. That's perhaps the central obstacle. They treat the presence of worrisome what-if thoughts as a threat that they either have to disprove or silence. And across the board, they're going to get better results. They're going to live a happier and healthier life if they can come to accept the presence of the what if thoughts rather than try and get rid of it. Because it's literally okay to be nervous. And so if they can come to treat a what if thought in the same way that they might treat maybe sweaty palms when I get nervous, well, sweaty palms is a sign of nervousness. Okay, it's okay to be nervous. What if I get some terrible ailment next year? What if I get fired? What if? These are just ways of being nervous now. These mean the same thing as the sweaty palms. And so I want to treat it that way. I want to allow myself to have the symptom of nervousness. I might even want to play with the nervousness. And so rather than silence it, perhaps I can refashion my worrisome content into a poem or a song or a haiku. If I'm bilingual, if I have a couple of years of high school Spanish, maybe I should do my worrying in Espanol instead of my major language. In all kinds of ways to simply make a change in how we relate to it. And that's going to make all the difference in terms of how we feel. Worry is surprisingly common. Everybody worries, although people that have a lot of worry, they think they're defective. Worry is nothing more than another way of experiencing nervousness, and it's no more important than that. And like with all other forms of anxiety, if you can notice it and accept it and play with it a little rather than run away from it or try and fight it off, if you can treat it like discomfort rather than danger, that's truly going to be the path out. My own worries, which are, of course, much more important than anybody else's worries, of profound importance. Sometimes I'll catch myself in the act of doing exactly what I describe in the book, taking it too serious, trying to clear my mind, whatever, and then I stop and I laugh. And I make a little poem or I say some Spanish and move on. So it's been helpful to me as well. People who struggle particularly with chronic worry, this is aimed at people whose anxiety mostly takes the form of worrisome thoughts. So certainly people with generalized anxiety disorder, to a lesser degree people with panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, where there's a lot of worry as part of their trouble. In some cases, the people who live with and love really worried people who are looking to better understand what's going on with Jim. How can I help Susan? This would be useful to them to avoid some of the common missteps where you tell somebody, stop worrying about it. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Nothing is more useless than that. So people who want to be helpful to those who worry. And also to therapists who do a lot of work with worried clients. I really hope that they'll get a chance to read this as well.